Looks like we're good. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Own the Chaos. My name is Brad. That is Fat Man Zoom. Sorry for the tech issues. We're working through them. Yeah, it's been kind of a boring day for me, Fat Man Zoom. I don't know about yourself, but why don't you go ahead and hit us up with the starting five?
All right, the starting five for the original stream, I have those, is Sean Ethier, Mike Hudson, Jeff Parnica, team coaching, and Funny Pranks Gone Wrong. You are our starting five. More importantly, though, we got to have a pose off, friend.
Let's do it. How do you want to do this?
We'll do the duo right now.
All right. What you got?
Black Widow crushes it on Disney. Clover has a nice comeback. All right, solo.
All right.
What are we gonna do? All right, we'll do a Drive Shack one. Drive Shack. Rory McIlroy invests $10 million in Drive Shack.
You can't see your face. There you go.
Germany announces 4-year extension of subsidies.
Woo! All right, mine was, is AMC in trouble? Interesting. What was my other one? Oh, are the meme stocks over?
Huh? Are they? Are they? I'm not sure.
Is this the end of the meme stocks? That's gonna. I love how we do that because it lets everybody know what we're going to be talking about. So we are talking about all of those topics today. So lots to go over, folks. But let us know what you think of the thumbnails. Oh, I love it. It's fun.
Yeah, it is, and I want to talk about a couple of things before we get into those topics. But to your point about you were kind of sideways, pretty good day for me. Actually, really good day for me. You know, my big hitters are Clover, full position size on that, which had a rough morning but has bounced back nicely. I think it's up like 3.5%. Still wanted to get over that $10, but I'm pleased with the bounce it had. Tesla, man. What a day. Yeah. We'll talk about that. One of the few bright spots in the market. Another bright spot in the market, Drive Shack. But a couple of my other pickups should be rather interesting. I told you yesterday that I picked up Marathon Oil on Friday. I added to a couple of positions. But the one topic that maybe we'll talk a little bit more about tomorrow, I kind of swapped out Tesla. We're going to talk about the airline stocks. But just to touch on that, I was reading, we have Delta Airlines this week. So Wednesday we have Delta Airlines, I believe.
Yes, I believe it's Wednesday, yeah.
And so we'll definitely be watching that after hours. I think that's going to be a huge earnings. We could talk about that tomorrow. But I'm full position. I'm going to be honest, I'm a little bit nervous about that.
Yeah.
Just because we've talked about the international travel and how with Delta you're kind of waiting around for that. I'm fine with waiting around. My only concern is with earnings this quarter, I don't want it to take a massive dump. And that's really what I'm worried about, because not necessarily just about international travel, but the other thing that the CEO has been talking about is leisure travel is just booming, but corporate travel is not. And I think it's fair to say that Delta is really known for that. I feel like a lot of people that I know that travel business, you could say Southwest, but I think Delta out of the big ones.
Yeah, United's another good one.
Yeah, like Delta relies a lot on that, especially from an international business perspective. So I'm just a little bit nervous about what they're going to see during the earnings call. But I'm not changing anything on it. High risk, high reward. Unfortunately, I probably won't be able to add to it if it drops down, but I'm just going to have to ride it out.
Yeah, I think that it should be a good quarter for them, and we should start to see the big demand numbers from them. And I get the point from the corporate side of things, but there's been reports that that's even starting to come back to a certain degree, not like it was back, pre-pandemic, but business travel is starting to pick up a little bit more than what it was in the first quarter. So it's hard for me to find a bear case for Delta at this point, just given how much demand there really is. And we've both been on flights, not Delta, but still, like the airports are packed.
Yeah, they are. Unfortunately, anybody trying to get here internationally, it's much tougher and going to take a longer time.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you live in most Latin American countries or most South American countries, you can't fly directly to the U.S.
Right.
You have to go to the most common thing to do is go to Mexico for 2 weeks, literally 2 weeks,
and quarantine
until you can come here. Yeah,
that's crazy. Yeah, our friends in Canada are the same way. We've been trying to get get together with Jake up in Toronto. We still have to quarantine up there for 14 days before you even get a chance to see the guys. So that part is definitely tough for sure.
Yeah, so that's, I think, what's going to really hamper this, because I don't think international travel is going to have any issue coming back. I think it's just nobody wants to travel. I mean, you got to wait 2 weeks in a country. The cost of spending 2 weeks in a country, then to go to another country, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see how quickly they sort of loosen the restrictions coming to the U.S.
Yeah.
That remains to be seen.
Right.
But there is a lot of good stuff going on. I'm happy with the position of my portfolio and things that are moving. I feel well diversified. Not too much more that I'm trying to do. I think now it's just kind of, playing the dollar cost average game.
Yeah.
Letting things play out and just continuing to making sure that I'm well diversified and well balanced, which I feel confident about. I mean, I got nothing over 10.25%.
I added to car lots today.
Oh, did you?
I did.
At what?
It was a good day to add. Like just around $5 flat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hanging out right around there, man. If you could just stay above that level, I'm fine. I think I have one more. I'm not yet full position. I'm at 7%, but I think I'm good there. I probably won't do it unless I feel like there's a major move that's about to happen.
Yeah, I'm not anywhere close to that, so I got plenty of wiggle room here still. I think even after adding today, I'm up around 3%.
Oh, nice.
So I still got time to add. But before we get into like heavy into stock stuff, there's a lot of stuff that went off, and I see a lot of people talking about it. The Euro Cup was a big deal yesterday, and then the Conor McGregor fight, the Poirier fight was.
Well, don't forget about was
wild too.
NBA Finals yesterday as well.
Yes,
Bro,
as far as the Euro Cup's concerned, if you guys obviously don't know, but we're next to Little Italy. You weren't here, but they were going crazy across the street.
I'm sure they were.
They were going nuts. Horns were honking. People were out in the street. They were freaking dancing. It was hilarious. But congrats to those mighty Italians. It was pretty crazy to see. I thought for sure that England was going to take it.
I was in a house. It was only fans of England. I was the only one rooting for Italy.
Really?
Because I'm a Spain fan, and Spain beat Italy.
Yeah, okay.
So I took them. And so I felt like if they went to PKs, I just felt like Italy was the better team for PKs.
Yeah.
But I thought if England would win it, they would have to win it in regular time. I mean, it was a bad showing for them in PKs. But it was Sue. The six people, they were all rooting for England. I just didn't say anything. They knew I was rooting for England literally at the beginning, but I didn't say anything. I didn't like it. I did make a joke at the end as we were leaving. I didn't say one word, and then I go, they're heading to dinner. I'm like, let me treat you guys to some Italian bread over dinner. That was the only jab I did.
That's funny.
The Italian goalie is a monster. He's like 6'5". He's crazy.
Yeah.
Djokovic also, Wimbledon.
Yes.
Djokovic won his 20th Grand Slam, which is nuts. Man, a lot of good sports. Argentina won the Latin American Cup. It was just an awesome weekend for sports. But I am happy that the finals is. I want the Suns to win the finals, but I'm actually happy that the Bucks won because I want a competitive.
You want
series.
You want to see some, instead of it just going four and out.
Yeah, but I did watch a UFC fight, which they'll probably fight again. But to me, Conor's done. It doesn't even matter.
It's hard. I don't know how you come back from that.
It's gonna be, and he's just he's a disaster. He's literally the things he was saying after the fight. Just he was kind of talking trash beforehand about Dustin Poirier's wife.
Yeah.
About Dustin Poirier, which
Did you see her flip him off?
no, I didn't.
See, he's sitting down there as he's getting interviewed by Joe Rogan, and she just walks over and just.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what set him off even more.
He did this to Khabib, and like people's excuse was, "Oh, this just to hype the fight." Well, the reality is the fight was over.
Yeah.
So I think he's just trash. I mean, I think he's trash, and he was a good fighter, but like he's just a spectacle to me now. And I think it's clear that Dustin Poirier is a better fighter anyways. He would have beat his ass. Regardless.
Yeah. I mean, he was already handling him in that first round.
Yeah.
Anyway, but it's interesting. I know the narrative is being spun this way, but I think there's obviously some truth to this. He's only had one win since the Mayweather fight.
Yeah.
5 years ago? And so, I mean, like, I just don't know why they keep making him the main event at this point. Like, how do you even bother with it? I get that he's like, the biggest shit talker there is, and he draws a crowd. So I understand the business side of it, but yeah, it just doesn't seem like he's got it anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. I think this is the problem with athletes as they go out. You see with Manny Pacquiao, the guy won't leave. He's fighting again, coming out of retirement.
That's crazy.
They gotta. I don't know. What was crazy? Like the craziest part was when Conor was like saying how Poirier would end up losing and getting out on a stretcher. And, like, he's taking out on a stretcher when Conor was actually the one.
Right.
That was
the irony is just
karma.
Yes. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. So he did get lazy. You are absolutely right, Ross. I don't know if it's lazy, but like I think it was Joe Frazier that had the infamous line about like it's hard to train like sleeping in silk sheets.
Yeah.
And it's just like
when you're worth $180 million, like what's motivating you anymore, I guess.
Yeah.
You gotta dig a little deeper, and I just don't know if Conor's done that soul searching.
Yeah, exactly. But he'll continue to fight. I
Yep.
mean, he'll continue to be a draw. So
Yeah, I agree.
it is what it is. I would see him, and I would like to see him and Nate Diaz. I would watch that fight. I don't think McGregor's done. I think he's done competing for a championship.
I was gonna say, yeah, he's done competing for a championship.
But he can fight. Like Dustin Poirier is could be the champion. I think he's probably gonna be the
Probably
champion.
gonna happen, yeah.
But he's like very competitive. He won't be like the number one contender, but he'll be able to get good fights. Him against Jorge Masvidal. I don't know how much you guys watch UFC, but like there's a lot of good fights out there for him that would be really competitive, and he could still beat most of the people in his weight division.
Yeah. Nate will smack that ass. Either way, it's a great weekend for sports. And one of the reasons I brought this up is because there was so much to bet on. I really am excited for the upcoming earnings as we get earnings season underway.
Yeah.
As far as Penn's concerned, as far as MGM's concerned, all of the sports betting platforms I think are going to do really, really well. It seems like it's a slow period for sports because I don't know, I guess it just seems like that, but I think that there's a lot more revenue to be had during the summer than a lot of people might realize.
Yeah.
And this weekend really showed out, I thought.
Yeah, I hope so. It's going to be interesting with the numbers. When you look at least soccer, and I'm not sure how much draw Penn or DraftKings or all of them would have as far as soccer is concerned, but when you think about it, any matchup you want is really two big European countries. Italy and England are two great countries as far as soccer is concerned. And literally the Latin America Cup, Copa Americana, that was the top two. I mean, Argentina and Brazil is the best matchup. So the best numbers are going to be those teams. I don't know how that's going to end up working out, but we'll see.
Yeah. All right. So topics for discussion this today. The first thing I want to talk about is the movie that came out, the Black Widow movie, debuted this weekend, and very interesting numbers, Fat Man Zoom. And as the title says, is AMC in danger here? I think that there's a case for this, and I know that I have been somebody who hasn't been big on AMC, especially since it ran up big. But the fact of the matter is that we saw some really impressive numbers in the movie theaters. Granted, we saw record numbers that we haven't seen since pre-pandemic, since 2019, actually, for any Disney movies. And so this has been really, really good for the industry. However, Fat Man Zoom, the numbers that came in from the Oh shoot, my article. That's great. The numbers that came in, 80 million went to the box office, so movie theaters, and 60 million were actually streamed through Disney Plus, which I thought was very interesting. And this is kind of like my bear case, I guess, for AMC. You know, it's encouraging to see that people are going back to the movies. About 80% of movies are back open, and most of them are to full capacity. And we're seeing $60 million being brought in just by streaming alone. It was $30 to stream the movie if you had Disney Plus. And that, in my opinion, is very concerning for anybody who's invested in any of the AMC or even Cinemark, any of the movie theater stocks. I think that this is something that we've talked about, that, you know, streaming's not going away. And I think that now that people either have maybe built their own home theater because of the pandemic, and now they can just buy a movie and not have to worry about spending. I mean, like if you have a family of 4, let's just say, I mean, it's going to be $100 plus to go to the movies. Whereas you just spend $30 and maybe get some popcorn and stuff to just be at home and do it at home. It makes it worth it for families. And I think that this is potentially the unraveling of AMC. I'm not saying that it can't go up or can't go higher, but this doesn't seem good. Even though on the surface it is. I don't know if these streaming numbers are a good thing for movie theaters.
Yeah, it doesn't help, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Which, what does that amount to? Essentially 2 million streams? That's the first day.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, you think about 2 million streams, and that's households.
Yes.
So that's not just, you're not saying just one person.
Right.
So, yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot of revenue that's going to be taken away from AMC. And it's going to be, their response is going to be interesting. They can't just sit back and be like, okay, we're just going to let this happen and hope that it dies off. Companies like Disney, HBO is doing the same thing, right?
Yeah.
HBO Max is releasing at the same time on HBO Max as it is in theaters. And so you're going to see more and more of this. And the problem is, the other thing AMC has working against it is the fact that it was essentially, there were no other options when a movie came out.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's competition, but the movie theaters is your only option.
Right.
And because of that, typically cities have like 1, maybe 2 movie theaters. And so all the other pricing is through the roof because essentially it's a monopoly.
Yep.
And so now that Disney Plus has this option, people are like, why am I going to, it's like going to the ballpark.
Right.
And you got to spend, $6 on a hot dog. And you're like, why am I doing this when I can stay at home, have a nice meal, and not spend all that money for my whole family? It just doesn't make a lot of sense, especially for families. And Disney Plus is going to be targeted towards that. So, yeah, I agree. I know some people were talking about Disney Plus, and I know this isn't necessarily related to AMC, but some people were kind of shitting on Mulan and then a couple of the other releases.
Yeah.
And they did release their numbers, and I don't think, while it wasn't Black Widow numbers because those were monstrous, they still had, I think, their first 4 days, they still had over 1 million streams. So it's nothing to like, and that was one of the first ones during the pandemic.
Yeah.
So I would say that they still did really well as far as that was concerned. So I think Disney's only going to continue to present a challenge to AMC because as they bring on more subscribers, that's more of a pool of people to buy the streaming service at premium prices. So I think this is definitely a huge blow for AMC.
Yeah, and I see a lot of people commenting already, and I had a feeling that this was going to come that has nothing to do with the fundamentals, and that might be the case. But you look at the stock today; it's down 8% off of those numbers. While we saw numbers we haven't seen in the movie theaters since the pandemic, you would think there would be a lot of buying. So if you're going to sit here and tell me that the fundamentals don't matter, I think that there is something to be said for that. So, I mean, stock's down. What is this, 35% from its highs? Hasn't really come back since. I mean, I'm not saying that it can't go up. It's not possible. But these are, at some point, the fundamentals will catch up with it. It's just a fact. I mean, if AMC theaters can't stay open, regardless of what the shareholders are doing, they're going to dilute the stock. And we've seen what dilution has done to stocks before. So it's going to eventually happen if this is the trajectory that we continue to see, especially out of Disney. And I saw somebody mention that this is the last Marvel movie that'll be streamed. If Disney is seeing those kind of numbers, I don't care what kind of contracts they have with movie theaters, they'll do whatever they can to get out of them because that kind of margin that they're getting off of just streaming, Fat Man Zoom is pretty incredible.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a no-brainer for them. They
Yeah.
don't want AMC to like thrive,
Right. Or any of the other movie theaters,
Yeah.
Cinemark, any of them,
Yeah.
Regal.
The other thing I do want to point out, and again, I think AMC is one of the best examples of confirmation bias, and
Yeah.
people just blindly believing what they believe.
Right.
This is just a thought that I have, and I'm not saying I'm right. I definitely could be wrong. But in considering the situations, a few of the reasons why I have no interest in AMC, one, and this was pointed out earlier, AMC year to date is up 2,000%.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking like, wait for the short squeeze, and you're hoping that like it has the meme stock movement. I just wonder what if the movement has happened. 2,000% is pretty damn good. At what point are you going to be like, enough is enough? The other thing is, somebody brought up short squeeze or short. It's 17%, which is it's a high number. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But there's many stocks that have a higher short squeeze and short interest to it.
Yeah.
So those arguments are kind of flimsy and they don't compel me in general. And so like you could look at it and be like, oh, it's only down, or it's down 30% from its highs. But the reality is it ran 2,000%. So what's more likely? It's going to come back further,
right?
Or it's going to continue to run up off a 17% short squeeze. Like to gamble on the fact that Reddit is going to continue to push this and we're going to we're going to stand strong. That is like a really, really tough proposition.
Yeah, just to give you a heads up, the Disney stock today is up a monstrous 4.5%, which is huge for Disney. We're talking billions of dollars in market cap that Disney is up today.
Damn.
And AMC is down 8%. So there you have it. Let us know what you guys think about AMC. I mean, I'm sure we're going to get some of the ape crowd in here and just start shitting on us. But honestly, logically thinking about your own risk tolerance and how this might impact your own portfolio, you got to look out for yourself. And so we always try to bring the bull and the bear cases to any position, including the ones that we own. And so you have to look at it from both sides of the coin. It's not looking good for AMC today anyway.
Yeah, and guys, hopefully that sounds a little bit better. We know there's mic issues on my end. We're just trying to make it through. Trying to fight to live another day.
We got a new soundboard coming in tomorrow, so hopefully that'll take care of it. This one's getting sent back.
Now, I had to. Anytime from here on out, I bring up Drive Shack. I'm wearing my Drive Shack hat. I got my Drive Shack hat. Whatever. Hold on. For this, we got to put it forward. Here we go. Drive Shack looking good, right around that $3 like we talked about. I don't know what it is currently, but right before we went live, it was around $3. Drive Shack had some great news, which we kind of already knew, which was it was announced that Rory McIlroy specifics to the partnership. So back in January, it was announced that Drive Shack and Rory McIlroy, who is one of the top PGA professionals, had some sort of partnership, and there was an investment involved. But the details were actually revealed, which was a $10 million investment, which gives them a stake in all the putteries here through the end of next year. And so I think that's going to continue as they grow. I don't think that's the end of the relationship, as long as the putteries do well. But this is awesome on a number of fronts. And it's actually the venture capital firm owned by Rory McIlroy. But this is great because this is better than a sponsorship. Normally these athletes are sponsors, so the company pays them, they don't put up any money, and then they get paid out to be a spokesperson. He now technically owns, and 10% is a big amount.
Yeah.
He owns 10% of the putteries. That's huge. So I'm excited to see how that plays out, because if you now own it, how much are you going to push it and how much exposure you're going to get? And don't let him win a major. That would be huge if he wins a major for the company. I love this move. I think that's part of the reason it moved, but I'm actually a little bit surprised because we already knew that there was an investment. I think maybe people are surprised at how substantial that is, because they did give him a huge piece of it. So I'm sure they're going to leverage him in a number of ways. I'm excited about that. Brad, what do you think about Drive Shack? I know you obviously hold it as well.
Yeah, I have a fair amount of this. I have about 2,500 shares of Drive Shack, and I was looking to potentially add more under $3. You can look at the chart right now, and it closed just above it at 301. I still think that I definitely would consider adding to this, but this is a big deal. I don't know if people really understand how much 10% is. That's a ton of money. And so, as this continues to grow, that $10 million investment, I think it's going to do really well for Rory. And we've known that they've had a partnership, but I think that the more, exposure that Drive Shack gets, especially from the Rory side of things, I can't imagine that he's not going to have ads involving him and the putteries and everything else. And so as this gains traction, I think more and more people are going to pile into the stock. And this is just something that we've been super bullish on for quite some time, since the $1 area. And so no reason to think that this isn't going to go higher from here. I'm really encouraged to see what their next earnings look like. I love the stock. I think that, we've seen reports from Callaway about how demand and interest in golf is at highs that they have never seen before. And I think this just translates over into Drive Shack. You also think about Topgolf and how they're kind of like the big dog on campus, but there's plenty of room in this space when it comes to just Drive Shack in general. And then you add the putteries as well. I think that this is going to continue to do really, really well, and any weakness that I see, I would view as a buying opportunity.
Well, the other thing is, we have had the conversation about Topgolf, and really what this puttery is doing is putting them in a different class. They'll still compete with Topgolf on certain things, but to me, this puts them in a better position to pass Topgolf, because you're creating a whole new model.
Yeah.
And it's a model that the break even is a lot lower, path to profitability is a lot easier. It's a genius move, and I wouldn't be surprised if Topgolf tries to follow their lead in that.
Yeah. I'm actually surprised that they haven't really done that yet.
Yeah, I mean,
nobody in their corner thought about this.
Yeah, it's easy to say when it's done, but I don't think that was an obvious move for anybody to do.
Yeah.
Hey, let's go after bars and make smaller footprints, and you just want to keep growing because there's so many markets to grow into.
Right.
It would, to me, I think what happened was Drive Shack realized, hey, let's not just try to compete with Topgolf. Let's just take a drastic shift. So I think Topgolf has continued to carve out these mega complexes.
Yeah.
And Drive Shack is going to use a different approach and still try to take market share of the mega complexes, but lead with puttery.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to diverge.
I agree. That would be crazy to see them if they ended up passing Topgolf. That would be wild.
Yeah.
And I would be very fat and happy.
For sure.
All right. So my next topic of discussion, I talked about AMC and I wanted to talk about just the meme stocks in general. Barron's came out with an article over the weekend talking about mentioning that the meme trade is far from over. The meme stock trade is far from over, and I agreed with a lot of what the article had to say, particularly with the fact of just the increase that we saw in interest as far as trading activity is concerned, not just with Robinhood, Fat Man Zoom. And we saw 5 million accounts added to Robinhood since the first of the year, and over 5 million accounts added since the first of the year. But it's been translating to other brokerages as well. We saw over 1 million accounts added to just Fidelity alone, which is over a 200% increase for them. So it is continuing to come in here and really, I just don't see how this goes away. A lot of interesting points here as far as just general interest. We've already talked about AMC and how that's continued to go off. The interesting part about that too is the AMC owners, they do see dips and they continue to buy them. Yeah. The buy the effing dip mantra has gotten stronger and stronger. It used to just kind of only belong to the hodlers of Bitcoin, but in the crypto universe, but it's translated and carried over into some of these equities. Even GameStop is far from where it was in its lows back in January. Yeah. So, I mean, the retail crowd is continuing to hold these stocks up, even though they've come down a pretty fair amount from their highs. But I just don't see this as going away. People are actively seeking out short squeeze opportunities. And I think that this type of trading is here to stay.
Yeah, it is. And what meme stocks are social media stocks. And they're not going anywhere as long as social media is not going anywhere. And
correct.
Social media is never going anywhere. And so really what happens is, where is the money going to go? Because you have crypto, you have your your traditional big board stocks, and then you could even make an argument for like penny stocks. But wherever the action's happening, the money's just going to move towards that.
Yeah.
And so social media is the conduit for it. So that's different. Like, and I think that's what's frustrating traditionalists is like, oh my God, this movement is happening and they think it's not going to last. Why not? Social media is going to continue to allow people to pump out information that you weren't able to get before.
Yeah.
So I think it's only the beginning of the story written on meme stocks. I think there are traders that will grow out of this. Like some people I'm sure are trading it now, but there'll be like strategies and people that make a living just off meme stock movement as we get more examples of this happening over time. So I think that it is here to stay. I think crypto's only going to continue to boost that. And, you know, you see people from all walks of life, not just young people. You see people who've never traded in their entire lives, 40-year-olds, 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds that are opening accounts and buying GameStop, GME, Bitcoin.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, 10 million people opened new accounts in 2020. That's probably going to get smashed in 2021. 15% of all current traders began investing with Charles Schwab after 2020. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
15% of traders with just Charles Schwab. I mean, who knows what numbers we'll see out of Robinhood. Obviously, we'll probably see a lot of that coming out when they go public. A lot more will come away as far as that's concerned. But yeah, man, I mean, there's just so many people that are getting involved in the markets. And I think it's a good thing. You know, some of the stuff that's gone a little bit crazy, those people will learn their lesson sooner or later. But, you know, I think that more people that are exposed to the markets, the better we all are for it. Not just as people who, like you and me, who have invested for a time, but even just like people just starting to get into it. The more they learn, the more that they're going to be able to figure out how to build wealth. This is all has to do with just like educating yourself on how to, you know, eventually retire and use these investments to your benefit to be able to live off of.
Yeah, absolutely. My next topic is regarding Tesla, and we've talked a lot about it, but it's just the news is too good to pass up, and I had to put it on because Tesla had a great move, another one like Disney, up 4.5%, making its way back up to 700, and I'm looking for 700 this week. I think that there's a lot of good things to come for Tesla, but why this move? So the news that came out, and I'll just get the Elon testimony out of the way. So Elon was testifying today, which the news happened last week, and I think that was part of the stock getting beaten down. But it was regarding the Tesla acquisition of SolarCity, and there was some concerns about how it was kind of a shady deal, and maybe the SolarCity, Tesla bailed out, or Elon Musk specifically bailed out his family members that own SolarCity and kind of got him out of the debt. And was it really a good investment for Tesla? I'm going to stay away from that topic. We'll see how that plays out. But I think a lot of the move down was last week. Maybe him testifying today was coincidence or timing. People aren't too worried about it. I don't know. But the good news that is catalyst is that Germany had a huge announcement regarding their incentives. And it's called, I believe it's the innovation bonus is what it's called. So back in July of 2020, so essentially a year ago, Germany had announced a subsidy where they were going to offer a government subsidy, which we've seen many countries do, to encourage hybrids, EVs, just environmentally friendly vehicles. And they announced today that they're extending it for 4 more years. So Tesla, to understand the situation in Tesla, you got to remember, one is last year, Europe, which Germany's in Europe, Europe passed... you would be surprised how many people don't realize that. Europe was actually surpassed China last year as far as EVs were concerned, right?
Yeah.
And so this year China's leading, but I really think that, and it's projected that Europe is going to be the number 2 position and China will settle in at number 3. As far as Tesla's concerned, that's what we should see play out. The other thing that actually works in Tesla's favor, if you're bullish on Tesla in Germany, as Europe goes, as Germany goes. And Germany is known as sort of the leaders in automotive, especially with their craftsmanship. You have Volkswagen, which is going to lead the way. Yeah. But Europe's always going to go as Germany goes. You have the Berlin factory happening at the end of the year, the Gigafactory that's happening for Tesla, which is anticipated to have a capacity of 500,000 vehicles, which is insane.
Yep.
But on top of that, Tesla numbers dipped last year. So 2 years ago, they had a monster market share of 31% in Germany, dipped down to 13%. And now they're looking to get back, and they're projected to have about 20%. That's a good thing. We actually need that from Tesla because they can't. You don't want them to always dominate. If they have like room to move up, I think this is a good opportunity. So they only need to increase their market share from 13%. If they get to 20 or even 30, which I think is possible, that means huge things for Tesla. So this is great for short term, for long term, and for investing as far as it's concerned with Tesla.
Yeah, I was trying to look it up, but do you know if Germany has made a motion to ban all ICE vehicles yet?
I believe so. I think Europe has I think the EU has, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know if the EU has or not. I know that Britain has by 2034. I know that firmly, but I don't know about Germany. So it's just interesting as far as like everybody else following suit with Germany, because you look at Mercedes, Porsche, and Volkswagen, all of those in Germany that are still very, I guess, driver enthusiasts, especially from like a Porsche standpoint or performance. And so I would be curious to see, if there is in fact a ban on, or there will be a ban on ICE vehicles in Germany, and how everybody will follow suit. But it's interesting. I feel as if at some point we will live in a world where, their ICE vehicles will be banned, and it'll be kind of like, it's weird, man. I don't know how to feel about it, because I love to drive, and like hearing the engine noise and like just having that raw power and stuff, and being like, I've never driven an automatic vehicle. So like, I still like to drive my manual cars and stuff. So like, it's a weird dynamic for me. Like, I'm fighting myself inside about this thing, but I agree. I mean, it's going to continue to roll. It's going to continue to move in that direction. It'll just be, I think, just a matter of time. And with the amount of cars that Tesla sold last quarter during a chip shortage of all things, I think that speaks for itself. I mean, if there was no chip shortage issue, there was no resource problems as far as demand and supply is concerned, who knows where Tesla would be standing at this point. Yeah.
So it looks like your European Union by 2026 they're looking to ban, but I don't think that's official. But it's likely. The ban is likely. It's the date. 2026 seems really soon. But,
yeah.
But that's what it's looking like for the EU.
That's crazy.
Nate says in the UK, I see more and more EVs by the day. Yeah, I mean you do, and they're like. I mean, I know there's always going to be like the classical person, and there's going to be those car enthusiasts that want that experience. But the reality is you feel like you're in a freaking rocket ship.
I know.
And that's a whole nother experience in its own right.
You can't compare anything to it.
I was like, this is a rocket ship.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're only going to get better. The technology is going to get better. And to think about how fast a car can go.
Yeah.
What did you say the Plaid was? 1.9 seconds, 0 to 60?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
But it should be exciting for Tesla. And again, we talked about it needs catalyst. Germany, if they take Germany, they take the EU.
Yes.
And the Gigafactory in Berlin is genius. They're now shipping cars. Tesla is from China, from Shanghai, to Germany, or to the EU, which has actually is what they attribute the market share increase to.
Yeah.
So now, if it actually is built in Germany, cheaper costs, honestly built out of Germany, it's going to be. Hopefully you think that they're going to have incredible engineers. So all that bodes really well for their company and them to continue to dominate. The Model Ys are going to be out of Shanghai. So eventually you should see Model 3s, I would imagine. But they're going to start with Model Ys, which is to Elon's goal of making it the number one selling car.
Yeah. HB in the chat says, can't see any further potential for Tesla in Germany. Plenty of competition in this price range. I agree that there's a certain level of that. What you can't compare is the performance and the technology that's coming out of the Tesla vehicles that Mercedes, which I'm shocked by, that Mercedes and even BMW has yet to have really caught up to or even remotely gotten close. And so that's kind of like where I'm at with it. Like from a performance standpoint, you're going to have the I guess diehard people that aren't going to want to deviate from what they've been buying for virtually their whole lives, right? The Porsches, the Mercedes, and BMW. Those are, I guess, you probably would classify as like the top three elite, and then you have Volkswagen in there. And so I agree to a certain extent, but there's definitely something to be said for brand loyalty, and we've talked about that with Ford and GM in the States. But I don't think that to think that Tesla isn't going to take up a decent or a fair amount of market share in Germany, I think is probably, I guess, short-sighted a little bit.
Wait. The comment is, hold on, I got to read this correctly before I tell this person he's smoking crack. HB can't. So you, Brad, agree with the statement? I can't see any further potential for Tesla in Germany.
No, I said I should rephrase. I see where he's coming from as far as that's concerned because of the brand loyalty that is with those big three.
Yeah, you're smoking crack.
Okay.
And I'm saying HB smoking crack.
Oh,
there's room for everybody. That's the point.
Yeah.
Like, one, I don't think it's like, I wouldn't say it's necessarily brand loyalty. Yes, there's going to be a certain subset of like loyalists, like people in America want American-made cars.
Yes.
There's going to be some of that, but you're talking about a very minuscule number. When you think about, I think it was 109 EVs were sold. All you got to think about is market share and the growth. If you think EVs are concerned, to say there's no more potential, we are in the first inning, maybe, of the EV story.
Yeah.
So to say that there's no EV potential, I have no idea what you're talking about, because they're trying to get rid of everything except for EVs.
ICE vehicles, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So internal combustible engines, like they're getting rid of them.
Yeah.
So if you think about what the actual capacity is, that's huge. So I think I don't straight out disagree with many statements, but I fully disagree with that. And they don't have to be the leader. That's the key. I'm not saying Tesla has to be the leader.
Yeah, they just have to make a dent.
They just have to stay at 30% or
Right.
20%, because that number is going to grow because the government is pushing it. How many vehicles are going to be sold over the next 4 years because there's a 9,000 euro credit, as opposed to if it didn't happen?
Right.
Right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that to me is like, I mean, at the end of the day, that there's just going to be so many more cars that are going to be have the opportunity to be sold for Tesla. So I think that you can clearly say, okay, Tesla's probably not going to be number one, but they don't have to be. The potential's huge, and I do believe they're going to hit their 500,000 capacity.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I haven't looked into Mercedes a whole lot. Do you know if they have like an actual competitive EV?
You know what? I don't know. I'm not sure.
I mean, like I know BMW.
If they don't, they will.
I know what BMW does, and obviously Porsche with the Taycan and stuff like that. But I don't. I mean, and Volkswagen, we've seen a lot of stuff from them, but I haven't seen much from Mercedes.
Well, the other thing to consider, and I'm not saying I agree or disagree with this strategy, because the verdict's still out as far as I'm concerned, is when you think about BMW, which did a great job, in my opinion, of distancing itself from Mercedes.
Yeah.
And their experience is awesome.
Yeah.
But they're luxury.
Yeah.
And Tesla has a luxury vehicle, but he's actually moving towards like economical and mass production. So he's actually trying to compete with the more affordable cars in the world.
Corollas and
Whether you agree or disagree, I'm not saying that's the right move or not, because you can make the argument that he should try to position himself like a Lucid Motors is trying to do.
Yeah.
But because he's doing that, it's actually better for for Germany to get market share, because you're not trying to compete against BMW, Mercedes.
Right.
Volkswagen, yes, you will be competing against to a lesser extent. You will a little bit Mercedes and BMW, but I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal.
Yeah. Mercedes has a really nice EV. It's called the EQC. Oh, I do know about the EQC. I don't know enough about it to really like have an opinion, but I have heard of that. Don brought up a really good point too, just saying that when ICE vehicles first came out, there was 300 companies, right? And think about like how many there were back then and how many there are now. So,
yeah.
I mean, that just kind of goes to like how many we've seen as far as like Lordstown Motors and, Workhorse and some of the other ones, Nikola's all come to mind. I think that there's definitely going to be some consolidation there as well. But Be really hard pressed to see some of the bigger names disappear.
Yeah, and you're gonna. I mean, what we talked about yesterday was the thing with Tesla, and this is where Germany has an opportunity, and I don't think China necessarily does. Is people are just really focusing on range and like what the car looks like on the outside. When you talk about software and like all the bells and whistles, I don't know if China's going to be able to do that. If anybody's going to do it, it's going to be somebody like Germany, an automotive out of there.
Japan.
Yeah, so like we'll see what happens there, but the EU is certainly, you wouldn't be surprised if like that competitor for Tesla could potentially come out of somewhere like Germany.
Yeah. Yep, I could definitely see that. All right, so the market has been closed for some time now. We went off on that hour just went by real quick. God,
yeah.
But the markets have been closed for about 20 minutes. The Dow, everything closed up. S&P 500, the Dow, and the Nasdaq all approaching all record highs, I think. So continuing to go up from here, guys. This is kind of what we thought might happen leading up into earnings season, and I still think that we're going to continue to see some record moves the last half of this year. It's going to be really important to make sure that you are positioned correctly to do so. If you guys want some of what we're taking away from this from our own personal experiences and you want a closer look into the Own the Chaos community, make sure you're hitting the join button next to subscribe. If you guys want to be part of the Chaos crew, help support the studio you see behind us and the channel, and hit that thumbs up. If you don't want to even go that far, just hit the thumbs up. It requires literally no energy from you to do so. If you guys want a daily watch list from us, also there is the link down in the description. It's free. Click the link at ownthechaos.com. We'd love to have you guys over there as well.
That's all I got.
Guys, that's going to do it for us. We're going to be back here again tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. As per the usual, Goldman Sachs has earnings pre-market tomorrow, so I'm sure we'll be commenting on that. It's going to get really exciting here, folks. A huge earnings season is upon us. So many companies have IPO'd since the first of the year, and they're all going to start reporting over the next few weeks. So I'm super excited for it, Fat Man Zoom. We're going to be super busy.
Bye.
See ya. We're out. I quit this bitch.